Alright, it's plaque making time. There's the heater going up. Got a combination of 41, 42 plaques I need to make for Joplin section. There's the jig that I used last year for cutting 12, which I was carving them and doing batch mode. That was alright to do it that way. With these using laser, it takes about 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes per plaque on the estimation to make them. So it'd be basically just swapping these plaques out. So these are blanks that I've made up through the year, and they're basic oak and maple, cedar, and walnut. So some of them will be different kinds. I'll probably make the rest of them, the other 12 or 13, out of cedar. And there's my cedar stack, which is looming over there. And I'm going to set this up to start lasering these while I'm getting these down. So anyway, there's my CNC. Don't remember the last project. I think I made a kiln box on it, and so I need to vacuum a little bit and clean it up, and then mount the laser, or mount the jig board and the laser, and we'll get on to that right now. Get that started. Ooh, supplementing with a little good old-fashioned electric heat. Makes that meter to spin and spin and spin. But between that one over there and this one over here, a little while ago it was really cold in here, and now it's starting to get where you can't see your breath. It's probably close to 45, 48 degrees in here now. So anyway, clean that off, and I'm going to lay down my jig board and get it set up. Alright, it's easy enough to lay down there. I'll just line it up. Excuse me. With the front edge right here and the side edge, and it's lined up. It's ready to go. And if I'm using a corner, then I zero off of the corner. I can use any one of these. I'm probably going to go ahead and use this spot right here, just because it's right here in center out front. And I'll get it tallied down, and then I'll put a couple of good old-fashioned toggles in there and go with that. Alright, since I'm only going to be using one of these two, probably this one over here, maybe this one, and I just went down through with my 1/2-inch pin nails, 23 gauge. I just basically dropped, after I lined it up, just dropped a couple pins in the cross sections. The rest of that just floats, because I'm not going to be doing any cutting back in there. It doesn't really matter. And now I'll put in some cams and wedge it out. I will be cutting some keyhole slots, and I'll probably just run a keyhole slot in here with that, and that kind of deal. So I'll probably do them in batches. So there we go. Let's go ahead and get it figured up for cams. Alright, just reach underneath the old table, pull out some cams and just some little things that I use for that. Got a bunch of little shorter handle cams inside that, and lasers down inside that box as well. And I'll go ahead and get one of my boards over here and decide on the height of it and get it to where it sets up for it. Alright, now to jig this out from the top, I've just put in some boards. Boards move, they swell. If you make your jig too tight, you'll fight them getting them in there every time. You end up having to cut them. So you leave a little bit of leeway between a popsicle stick and a craft stick. Craft stick's just a little bit thinner. You can generally get them in there to where they lock in there pretty tight. So this one's in there, it's locked in, jiggled. I'm putting 3 brass washers right here, and that brings up to just a hair underneath the top of that. So I drilled a hole, and I'm going to put that on there with one like that, and I'm using a brass screw that will hold it in good shape. I'll probably use one of these so that it will go down into the boards, and it'll go down in there and grab a pretty good bite down in that. So that'll be coming up to about right there, so it'll go down through there and it'll give me a pretty good bite. We'll go ahead and put that in, see how that works. Alright, these will get a chamfer on the edges of them, so I don't have to worry about, that. They'll get rounded over and they'll get cleaned up. But anyway, that's the perfect height to keep this from going up and down. With the laser, I really don't need it, but I will be putting a keyhole slot in there and getting that set up for that. So this has a little booger in it, and that may not be what I want to do. I can probably fill that with some dust and cover it up, and it'll look like a knot. So you know, I do have a keyhole slot already in that, and it's cut the size, so I can probably just put a little sawdust and some super glue in there and fix that up. So let me get this thing set up for carving and hit her there. All right, I loaded up my file, my first tap file of my first sheet, and I have them divided into groups of 10 so that I can just keep my listing down. I don't have to scroll a bunch. And I just basically copied them into those folders after I created them. Anyway, the origin of the material is in the center, so that's important to know. So basically, I just need to take that block of cedar and put a line to line, then bring everything up to the center, and that will be my center for my laser and for my cutter. All right, I've got it all zeroed in. The height is set to 0. Got to install my laser. I did add this to my laser. It's a 20 watt. And it's just a quick connect, and it's a dust-proof automotive type connect. I got a package of like 10 of them, like $12 off of the internet, off of Amazon. Anyway, they'll just connect that. We'll just slide that on there and have that installed here in a couple minutes. So you asked the question, why put this conglomeration out front here? Because that little white plug on there, after being a phone man for 42 years, and you plug that in and plug that several times a day, you will break that plug and you'll be buying a new cord. Whereas after you put it there, you put the wear out here, and this cord can be replaced very simply with a 80-cent deal versus a $30, $40 cable. So sometimes you'll wear your ports out, you know, like on laptops, power supplies, and stuff like that, because that little white plug or USB plugs. I do the same thing with my USB plugs. I put the wear and tear out here on a disposable cord instead of wearing that cord out. Anytime you have a USB device or anything like that you're plugging in, pull the friction out away from the device, unless you just don't mind replacing the device every few years. But if you do it this way, that port will stay solid for pretty much the life of it. And that's after 42 years of experience of doing that stuff. So repairing as a troubleshooter. Anyway, there we go. That was free. Didn't cost a thing. All right, I'm going to zero my laser in with my gauge right here, and basically I'll just move it back and bring it down to where to clear that. You have to watch these, that I've got enough clearance on that to clear my 1/4 inch settings there, because if I get off to the sides a little bit, it'll bump it and knock the Z out. So there we go. All right, I'm all calibrated. I can run that first one. I'm going to fill that little hole with some stuff, and then get rid of my pencil mark off there. All right, my favorite go-to for super glue is this Instant Adhesive by Weldwood. It's a DAP product. Cures in 30 minutes. It's kind of like a wood glue, but you can activate it really quick with the 2P10 activator. That's really the only one I've tried it. So I just filled that little hole because I can't find any cedar dust. Fine cedar dust. I'll have some a little later on today, but I won't have any. So I'm just going to fill that and then do a light sanding on it and put it in there and start it. And you're better to do this in layers, and it will self-level to a point. I mean, it'll basically fill in and level. But if you're doing a lot of thick stuff like that one's almost 1/4 inch thick, you'd be better off to do it with 2 or 3 layers, because the inside cures, but it takes a little while for the outside cures, but the inside will still be a little liquidy. So you gotta watch that. Allow it time to cure, or you just have a little bit of glueness in your hand. All right. I'm going to run this first one just to see how she runs. So we're going to hit the USB, and we're going to go down here to 1. Oops. Go back this way here a little bit. And when you go to 1 and 10, let's just see what we got here. Got a couple of extra seats in there that I'm going to have to pull out of there. Anyway, finding a little goof up. But I'm going to it's because they're down there 1 and 2. So let me do 1 and 2. It's 5x7 off the center. Click next. And do not use the virtual 0. And it's going to tell me to put on my glasses. I'm going to put on my glasses. Turn on the vent, because it will vent up. So let me get that done. Alright, he went ahead and raised that up just a little bit so that it would clear those two clamps, even though they're a 1/4 inch. I am lasering pretty close to that, and when I was doing that, it was getting right up next time. I thought, nah, it's going to hit it when it goes to doing the outside of that. So anyway, so I raised it up so that it would clear that. So it's just a hair out of focus, but you know, it's really no problem for it. It still looks good. And we're just going to see where we're at with that. So we need to remember to make that just a 1/4 inch plus a washer to get that up. So we're going to see how we're doing here. Alright, the estimate was 3 minutes, and it took it 9 minutes to laser that whole thing. So let's pull it out and have a look at it. Alright. The lasering, engraving, everything came out good. Of course, you got that splotch in there that's just part of the cedar, but the cedar is what kind of makes it cool. This lumber came off of the Royal Ranger campground, and they know that, and they tell the boys this came from the Royal Ranger campground. So what's cool about this is you know, even with the defects in it, it's still, you can read it and see what it says there. And then whenever this gets to that point where it's gets finish on it, then it becomes a little more legible. And I'm sitting there looking at the R on that one. It looks like it might have got a little bit of a bump on it there, so maybe it did come in contact with the sides of the deal. So anyway, but overall it came out good. I mean, I'm not charging anything for these are just donation. So all right, that's a piece of hard maple, and it's from a tree that I milled. Of course, this is the cedar with that deal in there. And look at my R. My R was disformed, so I think I hit it. I went ahead and moved the laser guide up just a hair and go that way, so it's easy enough to read. And I'll put this one in the scrap bin here. Well, get wrapped up and forget to take some video. Got 4 plaques. There's one in there that's already done. They're all the lighter woods for the Rancher kids. I think I have 2 more that I'm going to go ahead and cycle through those. And then I'm got these ready to cut down and most likely mill them. And in the deal, I just got to get them down to size for sure on the table saw, and they'll be ready for the rest of them. And go ahead and load up another one of those oak ones, or the oak and maple, and see if we can get that part of it done. All right. Well, we're down to 15. I got 16 in the laser right now. Not quite halfway through. Basically, I've done a lot of work out here without doing much filming, but I've used up some of the stock that I had, different, the maples, the oaks, and then I threw in some walnut just for the fun of it. And anyway, so that's coming along pretty good. And then made a sanding jig, just is basically just to sand these pieces off. These are going to have to go through the planer. These are the remnants of all my glue ups. I had them on bar clamps, and then I resawed them down to 5-inch thicks. I got to square them up, and then I probably run them through the planer first, and then square them up, get them thickness. But they've only been glued up for probably 3 hours, something like that. So I mean, I did resaw them, but the glue is, I mean, it's tacked. So don't want to push my luck on planing it. And then this was the remnant left of that. So that just had those 3 boards there, 3 boards. So I took the 2 that'll make my plaque width, which is 5x7, and got her down. And then I had my stack that I sanded all the faces, and they're over here. They're all sized, ready to go. I just put them in the laser. It takes 9 minutes of running. And each plaque is numbered 1 through 42, I believe it is. So when if I ever mess one up, I can just look at the number on the back of it. This is number 15, and I can just go back and reproduce 15 and that kind of thing. never know whenever, something funky will happen to you. So anyway, they're just a little ways away from getting a keyhole slot on them. And then they'll get a chamfer around the outsides. So we'll get that done. And right now I'm still getting these treated up to, getting them squared up and letting them boot up. So I'm kind of just taking a little bit of a breather for a second out here. It's about 3:30. I'll probably go ahead and just clean up a little bit and then take a break for the day. Grandkids will come down tomorrow for the next couple of days. So I don't know what I'll get done out here, but I'm working on plaques, and doing the laser thing is a whole lot easier than carving them time-wise. So when you 3D carve them, yeah. Anyway, that's why they don't sell 3D carves, per se in the trophy shops. They're all laser, because you can take a blank and have it all prepped and then stick it in there, and voila, in about 9 minutes you have a plaque. So I'm sure they've got lasers that are faster than that, but that's what my setup is. I'm not pushing it, so there we go. And these came out really nice. I mean, they're clean. It's a 20-watt laser on a Shark, 510 HD, and very clear. I've got it set a little higher than the focal focus on it, but you can't really tell any difference with it. Set it at about almost 3/8 of an inch high, so I'll clear all of my stuff. And because when on my jig, my laser side of my deal, when it's laser, and would be over here into the side of the cam, so I have to come up just a little bit higher than that. And whenever I'm making stuff, I will take boards and say, hey, that'll make a plaque. And so I'll go with that. Like, for example, the grain on this is horizontal, where the rest of them are vertical. This one's horizontal. Then I get some that have a little oak in them, and of course some just plain white soft maple in them as well, and then just regular red oak. And then I'm over to the walnuts and the cedars. So it's fun. Lasers do a nice job, and you can feel the cut in it. Of course, it's about 1/8 inch deep down there, so it's in there for a permanent deal. And that is doing it on speed is at 20, the power is at 20, and the speed's at 100 on the Shark. So there we go. I'm running 3 sanders when I'm sanding. The Hercules is a powerhouse, man. It'll just flat go really fast. Of course, I think I have it cranked up all the way up as far as speed goes too. But it's just you can crank it down. But man, I use it to hit it first, and it takes all the stuff off, and then DeWalt's a little bit slower, not quite as radical, and I take the same grit as the other ones. Those are 80 grit, and then I move up to the 120 and get up to that point, and then of course I'll finish them off with a smoother grit when I get all the sides and everything ready to go. Anyway, been a good day out of the shop. Been working since about 10 o'clock out here, and it's 3:30, so that's 5.5 hours. Working pretty diligent at it. A little bit of a lunch break, not much. So let me clean up. Been running most of the day, so I gave it some lube over there, and seems to help it out when I give her a little lube. I'm not in there grease it. Not once a month probably I grease it, but I lube it more than that. So all right, time to go in the shop, go in the house. And there's what I got done today. Got a lot of work done today.